I lingered at the threshold of Jason Cole's office, the freshly printed home purchase agreement trembling between my fingers. The name on the buyer line stared back at me, Jason Cole, and the address, Emerald Bay Villas, Unit 302. A chill swept through me. I knew that place. Only weeks ago, Ava White, his assistant, had flaunted it across her social feed, a sun-drenched snapshot captioned "Dream Home." I'd even tapped the heart icon beneath it, a gesture that now felt like a quiet betrayal. "Their meeting with Mr. Lewis and Mr. Cole is still underway. Would you like to step inside?" The receptionist's voice was a careful, hushed thing. I shook my head, retreating without a word back inside my car. I pored over the contract again. $32 million paid in full. Where had Jason found that kind of money? We were weeks from our wedding. Why had he buried this from me? Then, my phone buzzed. Jason. "Hey, Riley, I've got to take an investor out tonight. Don't wait up, okay? Head home without me." "What investor?" I asked, my voice thin. "Someone important, might run late." I stared at the paper in my lap, each line of text a lie given form. "All right," I said softly, "go do your work." And I ended the call, alone with the silence and the ghost of a dream home that was never meant for me. Instead of going home, I drove straight to Emerald Bay Villas. The neighborhood was quiet. Unit 302 sat by the lake, warmly decorated. Through the window I could see that the furniture was exactly the minimalist style Ava liked. I sat in the car for 2 hours. Jason never showed, but Ava did, carrying shopping bags. She unlocked the door with practiced ease. The key had a little bunny charm on it, the exact same kind she always used. My heart turned completely cold. At 11 that night, Jason finally came home. I was waiting in the living room, the contract spread out on the coffee table. "Riley, why aren't you asleep?" he asked. He looked exhausted, his tie hanging loose around his neck. "What is this?" I pointed at the contract. Jason froze for a moment, walked over, picked it up and glanced at it. "How did you get this? Is that the point? Isn't the point that you bought a house and didn't tell me?" He sat across from me and rubbed his temples. "Riley, the place is for investment. I wanted to surprise you." "Investment?" I let out a cold laugh. "Eva used a key to let herself in this afternoon. Is she an investment, too?" Jason's expression darkened. "You were following us." "Following you? You used our joint assets to buy that house. What's wrong with me going to see it?" "Our joint assets? We started the business 3 years ago. I put in $5 million and he put in $1 million. Now the company is valued at $300 million. I hold 60%. He holds 40% by rights of that $32 million house. $19.2 million is mine." "Riley, listen to me. Eva was only helping me look at the place. The house was bought as an investment." "Explain what?" "Explain why you gave her a key. Explain why you didn't even tell me before spending over $30 million. Or explain why the place is decorated exactly like her home." Jason fell silent. I stood up. "I'm tired. Let's leave it at that for tonight." "Riley," he grabbed my hand, "we're about to get married. Don't let your imagination run wild." I shook his hand off. "I am not imagining things. I just want the truth back." In the bedroom, I lay awake, tossing and turning. I kept seeing the panic in Jason's eyes. Eva unlocking that door as if she lived there, and that lying from her post-dream home. None of it was a coincidence. I took out my phone and texted the private investigator. "Ethan Grant helped track Jason Cole's movements over the past 3 months." He replied quickly. "Miss Lane, how detailed do you want the report to be?" "As detailed as possible." After sending that message, I actually felt calmer. Some things had to be uncovered, where else I wouldn't be able to sleep the next morning. Jason got up very early. I heard him moving around in the kitchen. Normally the housekeeper handled breakfast, but she was off that day. After I washed up and went downstairs, the table was set with my favorite soup, dumplings, and soy milk. "Riley, I was wrong yesterday," Jason said, taking the initiative to apologize. "I should have discussed it with you in advance." I nodded and sat down to eat. "That house, I've already asked the agent to put it on the market this afternoon," he added. I looked up at him. "Why sell it? Didn't you say it was an investment? Since you don't like it, then forget it." His answer only confirmed what I already suspected. That house was never an investment. After breakfast, we left for work together. In the elevator, Jason turned to me. "Riley, let's go look at wedding dresses this weekend." "All right," I replied flatly. When we reached the parking garage, we each got into our cars and drove off to our separate offices. Sitting in mine, I couldn't help but think back to when we started our business 3 years ago. Back then, Jason's world was filled with nothing but ambition and mayhem. Would stay up past midnight working on a project, but he would also plan surprises for my birthday. When had things started to change? Was it when Ava White joined the company? Ava was 23, fresh out of a prestigious university with a sweet and innocent look. Her family background was ordinary. Within 6 months at the company, she had risen from a junior employee to Jason's assistant. At first, I didn't think much of it after all. The company needed talent, but soon I realized Jason's attention toward her went far beyond a normal boss-employee relationship. If she was sick and took leave, Jason personally brought her medicine. If she worked late, Jason drove her home at company dinners. He always sat next to her. I mentioned it a few times, but Jason brushed it off, saying I was overthinking and that Ava was just young and he was looking out for her. Looking back now, I finally understood what kind of care it really was. At lunch, I received a call from Ethan Grant. Miss Lane, I've organized the information you asked for. Is it convenient to meet? Yes, the usual place. I replied. The usual place was a discreet cafe where Ethan and I often met as the company's legal advisor. There were matters he sometimes asked him to investigate. Ethan, a man in his 40s, was dependable and thorough. He handed me a file folder. Miss Lane, everything from the past 3 months is in here. I opened it. Inside were photos, time logs, and expense records. First photo, Jason and Eva having dinner at an upscale restaurant, sitting very close together. The second, the two of them entering the Emerald Bay Villa. The third, Jason driving Ava home, lingering downstairs for an hour. The time records showed that over the past 3 months Jason had gone out alone with Ava 3 to 4 times, nearly every week. The expenses were even more shocking. Chanel bag, $120,000. Tiffany necklace, $80,000. Herm scarf, $30,000 plus cosmetics, clothes and shoes. The total added up to $560,000, and during the very same period, Jason told me his cash flow was tight and asked me to transfer $300,000 from my personal account into the company. I had agreed without the slightest suspicion. Mississippi Lane, there's one more thing. Ethan lowered his voice. Yesterday, I followed them to Emerald Bay. They stayed inside for 3 hours. 3 hours. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Thank you, Ethan. Miss Lane, do you want me to continue tracking them? No, that's enough, I told Ethan back at the company. I sat at my office staring blankly at the photos on my desk. In them, Jason Cole was smiling with a gentleness I hadn't seen in a long time. For months now, he'd been distracted at home, glued to his phone, even getting up in the middle of the night to reply to messages. Whenever I asked what he was working on, he always said it was business. So this was the kind of business he meant. A knock on the door pulled me out of my thoughts. It was my assistant, Lee. Miss Lane, the afternoon meeting will be delayed by half an hour. Mr. Cole had something come up. What is it? I asked. Apparently, Eva isn't feeling well. Mr. Cole is taking her to the hospital. I nodded. Got it. After Lee left, I opened my computer and pulled up the company's financial system. As the majority shareholder, I had the right to review all records. Sure enough, over the past 3 months, several large transactions had Jason's approval. One of them was exactly $32 million, dated right when the Emerald Bay Villa was purchased, so the house had been bought with company money. I kept digging and found smaller transactions that added up to $560,000, matching exactly what the spending Ethan had uncovered. Jason had used company funds to buy Eva a house and gifts, then told me cash flow was tight and asked me to transfer money from my personal account. This was the man I was supposed to marry. I shut down the computer, grabbed my bag and headed out. Passing Jason's office, I saw it was empty. Lee's words came back to me. He was supposed to be at the hospital with Eva. Was she really sick, or was it just another excuse? I thought of those photos of them together, of the cozy decorations in that villa, of the expensive gifts without me even knowing they had already been living like a couple. And me, what was I, his ATM or just a cover? My phone buzzed. It was a message from Jason. Riley, I might be back late tonight. Eva has food poisoning. I'm with her at the hospital. Food poisoning. I gave a cold laugh and replied, all right, take good care of her. After sending the message, I drove away from the company. On the road, I thought about so much. 3 years ago when we started this business together, Jason told me, Riley, let's build an empire of our own. Back then, his eyes shone with ambition, with dreams, and with love for me. Now, all he saw was Eva White, and I had become nothing more than a tool for him to realize his ambitions. When I got home, I sat on the couch and looked through the photos again. Each one felt like a knife piercing my heart. The deepest pain wasn't even the betrayal itself, it was that I had been kept in the dark all along, foolishly preparing for our wedding. Our wedding was scheduled for next month. The venue was booked, the dress custom made, the invitations sent out. Everyone knew Jason Cole was marrying Riley Lane. Even Ava, she knew he had a fiancé, yet she still chose to be with him, to accept his gifts, to live in that house as if she were his partner. And Jason, while planning our wedding, was hiding her away like a mistress. What was his plan after the wedding? To keep going like this, or to wait for the right to meet or divorce me and be with her openly? The more I thought about it, the angrier and clearer I became. A man like this wasn't worth my love. A marriage like this was already over before it began. At 11 that night, Jason came home. I didn't ask about Ava and he didn't offer anything. We each washed up and went to bed as if nothing had happened, but I knew something had changed forever. The next morning, I woke earlier than usual. Jason was still asleep when I slipped quietly downstairs, made myself a cup of coffee and sat in the living room to sort out my thoughts. At this point, I had two choices. The first was to confront him directly and see how he would respond. The second was to pretend I knew nothing for now and quietly prepare myself. I chose the second because I knew Jason, if I confronted him now, he would find a way to explain, make promises to change, coax me into forgiving him, and then what? He would only learn to hide things more carefully and I would gain nothing. What I needed wasn't his explanations or empty promises. What I needed was control. I picked up my phone and sent a message to my lawyer friend Tina Wong. Tina, are you free? I want to consult you about some legal matters. She quickly replied, of course. When would be good? This afternoon. Same place. All right then. I called the CFO, Mr. Zhang. Let's have a meeting this afternoon. I need a detailed review of the company's finances. Understood, Miss Lane. I'll prepare the documents after making these arrangements. I felt more grounded when Jason got up. I was in the kitchen preparing breakfast. Riley, you're up so early today, he said, as he hugged me from behind. Once that kind of embrace would have made my heart race. Now it only made me feel sick. I couldn't sleep, so I got up, I said, pulling myself out of his arms. How's Ava? I asked. Nothing serious. The doctor said she just needs a couple of days rest. That's good. My voice was flat. Breakfast is ready. Let's eat. During breakfast, Jason brought the wedding. Riley, the wedding planner, said we need to finalize the process next week. Will you have time? Yes, I said, continuing to eat my dumplings. By the way, what kind of wedding do you think we should have? Of course, the best. I want to give you a perfect wedding. He looked at me with sincere eyes. The best? Then why did you spend money on another woman? A perfect wedding? How could a wedding be perfect when it was with a man who was cheating? Then let's do it your way, I said with a small smile. That afternoon, I went to meet Tina. She was my college classmate, now a partner at a well-known law firm specializing in marriage and family disputes. Riley, you don't look well. Did something happen? She asked the moment we met. I handed her the information Ethan had gathered. After reading through it, her face darkened. Jason Cole has gone too far, she said angrily. You're not even married yet and he's already like this. What will happen after marriage? That's why I want to ask, if we break up, how will the assets be divided? Tina pulled out pen and paper and started analyzing. First, since you're not married, the concept of marital assets doesn't apply, but you do have a jointly invested company and that would need to be divided according to equity. You hold 60%. If a company is valued at 300 million, you're entitled to 180 million. However, if you can prove Jason used company funds for personal indulgence like buying a house or gifts for a mistress, you can demand compensation. Also, regarding the 5 million you personally invested in the company, if there was a formal agreement at the time, you can also request reimbursement. I nodded. What evidence do I need to prepare? The more the better. Financial records, transfer slips, expense receipts, photos, recordings. Gather whatever you can. And one more thing, you must protect your personal assets. If he finds out you know about this, he might try to transfer assets away. I listened carefully, committing every detail to memory. Riley, have you really decided to end things? Tina asked Maze. I nodded firmly. A man like him isn't worth spending a lifetime with. Then I support you, she said. A man like that deserves to pay the price. Leaving the law firm, I went straight back to the company for the finance meeting. Mr. Zhang, the CFO, had already prepared all the documents. Miss Lane, here are the financial statements for the past year. I carefully examined each expenditure, marking the suspicious ones. Mr. Zhang, this 32 million expense, what project was that? He glanced at the record. It was approved by Mr. Cole. He said it was for an investment property. Is there an investment analysis report attached? I asked. No, I don't think so, he admitted awkwardly. Mr. Cole said it was his personal project to oversee personal project using company funds. I sneered. And what about these smaller amounts? I pointed to the scattered entries of tens of thousands. They were also signed off by Mr. Cole. Some are listed as entertainment expenses, some as office supplies, some as employee benefits, and buying Ava White handbags and jewelry. Under which category does that fall? My voice was cold. Mr. Zhang, starting tomorrow, all expenditures over 100,000 must go through my approval. Understood, Ms. Lane, and also reorganize all expense records from this past year and deliver me a detailed report. I want to review everything carefully. No problem. When the meeting ended, I sat alone in my office, staring out at the night view. Jason's office was right across from mine. Through the glass, I could see him still working late, but what was he really busy with? Actual work or messaging Ava? I thought of those photos of his gentle smile The gifts he had given her, that $30 million house. Once I had believed we were each other's most important person, now I saw clearly I was just his tool to make money, and Ava was the one he truly wanted to protect. If that was the case, then I would let them have each other, but I wouldn't allow them to get away with it easily. Betrayal always comes with a price. The next morning, I received an unexpected call. This Riley Lane? Yes, who's calling? This is Eva White. Eva had called me herself. Hello. What is it? I tried to keep my voice steady. Mississippi Lane, I'd like to meet with you. There are some things I want to tell you. Her voice was nervous. What things? About Mr. Cole and Mew. Is she going to confess on her own? All right. When? This afternoon at the cafe across from the company. Fine. After hanging up, curiosity stirred in me. Why would Eva reach out to me directly? Was Jason the one who sent her, or was this her own idea? At noon, I arrived at the cafe on time. Eva was already there waiting. She looked worn out, her eyes red and swollen as if she had been crying. Miss Lane, thank you for agreeing to meet me, she said, standing nervously. I sat down and ordered a coffee. Go ahead. What is it? Ava bit her lip. Miss Lane, I know you may have already discovered some things. What things? I asked, pretending not to know. Mr. Cole and I. She paused. We do have an improper relationship. So she admitted it. I raised a brow at her. What kind of improper relationship? We were together. She lowered her head. I know it's wrong, but I couldn't control myself, and Jason couldn't he control himself either. Eva looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Mississippi Lane, don't blame him. It's my fault. I was the one who seduced him. Seduced? How exactly? I asked with interest. A flush rose in Ava's cheeks. I often found excuses to be alone with him. I deliberately worked late so he would have to drive me home. I acted spoiled and asked him to buy me things, and then I pressed. One night, I pretended to be drunk, Ave admitted softly. He drove me home and I kissed him first. Did he push you away? I asked coldly. She shook her head. No, he kissed me back after that. We were together. Her voice grew smaller and smaller. Miss Lane, I really love him. I know this isn't fair to you, but I just can't let him go. Love him? Was the Emerald Bay Villa also out of love? I asked directly. Eva's eyes widened in shock. You know about that? I know more than just that. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos Ethan had taken. How do you explain these? Her face turned pale the moment she saw them. Mississippi Lane, and these. I handed her the expense records. The tears spilled from her eyes as she read the numbers. Mississippi Lane, I'm sorry. I really am so sorry. She started sobbing. I know I was wrong, but I truly love him. You love him, so that gives you the right to destroy someone else's relationship? I asked coldly. No, Miss Lane, please listen. Eva hurried to explain. Mr. Cole said he said your relationship with him had already grown cold, that you two were only together because of the company. Her words made me pause for a second. That's what he told you? Eva nodded. He said you're more like business partners now, not lovers. He said what he wanted was real love, not a union built on interests. I let out a bitter laugh. So that's it. In Jason's version, our love had already ended. I was nothing more than his business partner. So his affair wasn't betrayal, it was the pursuit of true love. And you? I gave her a hard look. You're the angel who saved him, so now the two of you are true love and I'm the villain standing in the way of your happiness. No, Miss Lane, I've never thought of it that way, Eva said quickly, panicked. I just love him too much. Then why are you here today? To ask me to step aside for you? She looked at me, her eyes filled with both hope and fear. Miss Lane, if possible, I hope you can let him go. I'll take good care of him. I'll make him happy. Let go, I sneered. You think I should let go so you two can live happily ever after? I know it's too much to ask, but what? I cut her off. But I love him. That's why. So because you love him, I should give him to you. I leaned closer, my voice like ice. Eva lowered her head, unable to meet my eyes. I stood up. Ava, do you know every single word you've just said makes me sick? Hiding behind the name of love, playing the role of the mistress, and still expecting me to bless you both. Do you think that's reasonable? You said Jason told you our love was gone. Did you ever stop to wonder if that were true? Why didn't he simply break up with me? Why did he choose to cheat instead? Eva slowly lifted her head, confusion clouding her eyes. Because he can't give up my money, I said coldly. Without me, he's nothing. No, Miss Lane, Mr. Cole isn't like that, she insisted, quickly rushing to defend him. Isn't he? I gave a bitter laugh. Then tell me, why did he use company money to buy you a house? Why did he use company money to buy you gifts? Why are you planning a wedding with Muhal living with her? I asked. Eva was speechless. Eva, you're far too naive, I said, picking up my bag and standing. You think what you have is love, but you're just a plaything. Once he gets bored of you or finds someone younger and prettier, do you really think he'll still want you? Without waiting for her reply, I walked out of the cafe without looking back. In the street, her words were played in my mind. She said Jason told her our love had grown cold, that we stayed together only because of the company. So in his heart I had already become dispensable. Then why should I keep holding on to this relationship? When I returned to the company, I went straight to Jason's office. He was reading documents, but when he saw me walk in, he smiled. Riley, did you have lunch? Yes, I sat down across from him. Jason, I want to ask you a question. What is it? What do you think of our relationship? Jason froze for a moment. Why do you suddenly ask that? I just want to hear your thoughts. He set the papers aside and looked at me seriously. Riley, we've known each other for so many years. Of course, our relationship is good. We're about to get married. I am really looking forward to our future together. Really? I give a faint smile. Haven't you ever thought that? We're more like business partners now, not lovers? Jason's expression shifted. Why would you think that? Because that's exactly how you see it, isn't it? I locked eyes with him. He told others, our love has faded and that we're only together because of the company. Who told you that? His voice rose. Urgent. Does it matter? What matters is whether you truly think that way. Jason hesitated, then said, Riley, it's true we don't have the same passion we once did, but that doesn't mean I don't love you. Then what do you love about me? I pressed I. He thought for a moment. I love your intelligence, your capability, my money. I finished for him. Riley, how can you say that? I'm not that kind of man. His face tightened with anger. Not that kind. Then explain this. I pulled out the villa contract and slapped it onto his desk. Jason's face strained of color as he saw it. Rag on this. I laid down the expense records. Confronted with the detailed evidence, Jason knew he'd been exposed. Riley, let me explain. Explain what? Explain why you used company funds to buy a house for your mistress. Explain why you used company money to buy her gifts. Explain why you are planning a wedding with Muhil, living with her. Jason opened his mouth, but in the end said nothing. Eva came to me today. I continued. She told me you two are in love and that she hopes I'll step aside. What? She went to see you. Jason shot to his feet, shocked. Why shouldn't she? Or was it the two of you who planned it together, sending her to test my reaction? No, Riley, I never asked her to see you. Jason said quickly. This has nothing to do with her. It's all my fault. Nothing to do with her. I let out a cold laugh. Jason, even now you're still making excuses for her. Riley, I admit I was wrong, but please don't make things hard for Eva. She's innocent. Innocent. Jason, do you realize every word you're saying right now is just giving me more reasons to end this relationship? At the word end, Jason's face went white. Riley, let's not break up. Please, I can cut things off with Ava. Jason said desperately. We can start over. Start over. I stood up. Jason, do you really think that's possible? Of course it is. Riley, we've been together for so many years. We're about to get married. We can't throw everything away because of one mistake. One mistake. I pointed to the evidence on the desk. All of this. These are just mistakes. Yes, they're all my mistakes, but I can fix them. He came forward trying to take my hand, but I pulled away. Do you know what's most laughable, Jason? I asked coldly. What? He muttered. You cheated, spent tens of millions of our company's money to keep a mistress, and now you expect me to forgive you. You still want to marry me, Riley? You what do you think? I can't live without you, or that you're so important. He was speechless under my words. Let me tell you something, Jason, anyone in this world can betray me, but I will never betray myself. I will not marry a cheating man, and I will never spend my life with someone who uses my money to support another woman. With that, I turned to leave. Riley, wait. Jason stopped me. If you insist on breaking up, what about the company? I looked back and smiled coldly. Jason, so that's what you're worried about, the company? No. I'm worried about our future. We don't have a future anymore, I said icily. As for the company, we'll split it according to equity. Riley, we built that company together. You can't what? I cut them off. Can't take back what's mine. Don't forget, Jason, I invested $5 million and hold 60% of the shares by rights. Control of the company should have always been in my hands. I let you serve as CEO and manage it all because I trusted you, because I loved you, but now you've betrayed me and betrayed the company. Jason's face turned ashen. Riley, what do you want? What I want is simple. I gave him a cold smile. I want you to pay the price. What price? The price for embezzling company funds. The price for betraying me. I turned and left his office. Walking through the hall, I could feel everyone's eyes on me. Our voices had not been quiet. Surely many had heard, but it didn't matter. Soon everyone would know anyway. Back in my office, I called Tina. Tina, it's time. All right, I'll prepare the lawsuit immediately. After hanging up, I looked out the window. The sky was bright, the sun shining just like my mood now, full of hope. That very afternoon, Jason received the lawyer's notice. The charges: misappropriation of company funds with demands for compensation and legal accountability. At the same time, I sent an email to all employees explaining the situation and announcing the suspension of Jason Cole's position as CEO. The news exploded through the company. No one had expected the couple, who always seemed so loving, to end up in court. Even fewer had imagined that the refined, gentlemanly Mr. Cole would embezzle a company money. That same afternoon, Eva White submitted her Resignation letter by the next day. She didn't show up at work. Jason came looking for me several times trying to negotiate, but I rejected him every time. Riley, do we really have to take things this far? He blocked me at my office door. What do you mean this far? I stopped and looked at him coldly. Jason, you were the one who betrayed me, not the other way around. I know I was wrong, he said quietly, but we can settle this privately. Jason pleaded. Why take it all the way to court? Because I want everyone to know what the price of betrayal is. Riley, what good does this do you? The company's reputation will be damaged, the stock will fall, and in the end you'll be the one who gets hurt. I laughed coldly. Jason, do you think I care about that? Money lost can be earned again. A ruined reputation can be rebuilt, but once dignity is gone, it can never be regained. I won't let anyone trample my dignity, including you. He looked at me with shock and fear in his eyes. Maybe for the first time he realized I wasn't the gullible little woman he could lie to anymore. Riley, if you insist on doing this, then I won't just sit and wait for destruction. Oh, I tilted my head with interest. And what exactly will you do? This company was built by both of us. I have a voice. 2. I can rally the other shareholders to re-elect the board. You can try. I smirked. But let me remind you, the other shareholders combined only hold 40%. I alone hold 60%. If your math is poor, I can teach you. Jason's face grew darker. And besides, you're already a defendant accused of misappropriating company funds. Do you think the other shareholders will side with someone under suspicion of financial crimes? He was too furious to speak. What's wrong? I raised a brow. Jason, this is the price of the true love you wanted for Eva White. You've lost the company and your future. Was it worth it? He was silent for a long time before finally asking, Riley, can't we really reconcile? Of course we can. I nodded decisively. Hope flickered in his eyes. As long as you can do 3 things, I continued. What things? First, return all the funds you embezzled, including interest. Second, transfer all your shares to meet half their market value. Third, make a public apology and admit your wrongdoing. Jason's face turned completely dark. Riley, you're asking me to lose everything. You already have nothing, I replied coldly. Without me, you're nothing, Riley. I cut him off. Don't forget, Jason, you were the one who chose betrayal first. Paying the price now is only natural. If you don't accept these terms, then we'll see each other in court. By then, you'll not only have to repay the money, but you'll also face criminal charges. Without another word, I turned and walked away. That night, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. Hello, Miss Lane, it's me, Eva White. I was a little surprised. How did you get my private number? Mr. Cole gave it to me, she said softly. Mississippi Lane, I want to meet you. Haven't we already met? Miss Lane, I have something important to tell you. What is it? It's about Mr. Coley. It's not convenient to say over the phone. I thought for a moment. Fine, tomorrow afternoon at 2, same place. After hanging up, I couldn't help but wonder what Eva wanted this time. Was she going to beg for Jason, or did she have some other plan? The next afternoon, I arrived at the cafe on time. Eva was already there, looking even more haggard than before. Mississippi Lane, thank you for meeting me, she said, standing to bow slightly. Go ahead, what is it? I asked directly as I sat down. Eva bit her lip. Mississippi Lane, I want to tell you something about Mr. Cole. What is it? Actually, that villa wasn't something Mr. Tide Cole bought for me on his own initiative. Her words stunned me. What do you mean? I asked. It was me who forced him to buy it, Eva said, lowering her head. I took some photos and videos of us together. I threatened him if he didn't buy me the house, I would send them to you. The twist caught me completely off guard. You threatened him? Eva nodded. I know it was despicable, but I loved him too much. I wanted a home that belonged to us, somewhere that gave me security, and the gifts, they were things I asked for. Her voice grew smaller and smaller. I told him if he really loved me, he should buy me those things. So you were extorting him? I just wanted him to treat me better, Eva said, breaking into tears. I know I did wrong, but I really do love him. I looked at her, my feelings a tangled mess. On one hand, my anger toward Jason hadn't lessened. Cheating was still cheating, whether he was pressured into it or not. On the other hand, I began to understand why Jason kept saying it was all his fault, begging me not to make things hard on Eva. He really had been trying to protect her. Eva, what's your purpose in telling me this today? I asked. I hope you can forgive Mr. Cole. She lifted her head, eyes filled with pleading. This was all my fault. If you need someone to blame me. Forgive him. I let out a cold laugh. Do you think by taking the blame he becomes innocent? But what? I cut her off. As an adult, he has his own judgment. Even if you threatened him, he could have chosen to refuse, chosen to tell me the truth, but he didn't. He chose to compromise with you. He chose to use company money to satisfy your demands. And what does that show? It shows that in his heart, I was never important. Eva opened her mouth as if to argue, but in the end said nothing. Thank you for telling me the truth, I said, standing up, but it doesn't change anything. Miss Lane. Ava called after me. Jason Cole made his choice, now it's my turn to make mine, and my choice is to make him bear the consequences with that. I left the cafe a week later. The trial opened. The case had already stirred a storm in the business world, and many media outlets were following closely. On the day of the hearing, a crowd of reporters gathered outside the courthouse. I wore a black business suit and walked in with Tina by my side. Jason and his lawyer were already there. He looked haggard, guilt and defiance flickering in his eyes. Eva did not appear. Word was she had already left the city once the session began. Tina presented the evidence one by one. Financial records proved Jason had embezzled a total of $38.56 million from the company, $32 million used to purchase property and $656 million spent on personal luxuries. Faced with such evidence, Jason's lawyer couldn't refute it and could only plead for leniency. Your Honor, the lawyer said, my client admits he used company funds, but had no intention of maliciously appropriating them. He acted under certain special circumstances. Special circumstances. Tina immediately countered. What the defense calls special circumstances were in fact the result of the defendant's affair and being blackmailed by his mistress. That cannot justify embezzlement. On the contrary, it proves his lack of integrity. Moreover, as the company's CEO, the defendant was obligated to safeguard corporate assets. His conduct is a clear violation of both corporate and criminal law. After several hours of arguments, the judge finally announced a recess. The verdict would be delivered in the next session. As I walked out of the courtroom, Jason caught up with me. Riley, let's talk. I stopped and looked at him. What's left to talk about? I'll accept your conditions, he said quietly. I'll transfer all my shares to you. I'll issue a public apology. It's too late for that now, I said coldly. Why didn't you say if I agreed to those conditions we could reconcile? His voice grew anxious. That was a week ago. I stared at him. Now the matter is already in court. It's no longer mine alone to decide. Riley, I'm begging you, I really know I was wrong for the first time. Jason lowered his head in front of me. I can give you everything, just please forgive me. Once looking at him, humbled and desperate, I felt no satisfaction, only exhaustion and disappointment. Jason, do you know something? If you had been honest from the start, if you had chosen to face me with the truth, maybe there would have been a chance for us to repair things, but you didn't. You chose lies, you chose betrayal, and now you ask for forgiveness, not because you truly regret it, but because you're afraid of losing everything. An apology like that means nothing. His face turned even paler. Riley, we can still, it's over. Jason, I cut him off. From the moment you first betrayed me, it was already over. Without another glance, I walked away. 3 days later, the court delivered its verdict. Jason Cole was sentenced to 3 years in prison, suspended for 5 years for misappropriation of company funds. He was ordered to repay the $38.56 million he had embezzled, along with interest. At the same time, all of his assets were frozen, including his shares in the company. This meant Jason lost not only his freedom, but also everything he owned. When the judgment came down, I didn't feel triumphant. What I felt was relief, as if a heavy weight had finally been lifted. That night, I opened a bottle of red wine at home. It was the one Jason had brought back from France last year, saying we'd save it for our wedding day instead. I finished it alone. Afterward, I pulled out my phone and deleted every photo related to Jason. 3 years of love ended just like that. The ending wasn't what I had wanted, but at least I had fought for justice for myself. The next day, I convened a company-wide meeting. Standing at the front of the room, I looked at all the employees. Everyone, I believe, all aware of what has happened recently. Starting today, I will officially assume the role of CEO and take full responsibility for managing the company. Regarding the situation with the former CEO, I hope it serves as a warning. Conduct business with integrity. Work diligently. The company will continue to move forward. Our goals will not change. Our vision will not be broken. The room erupted in thunderous applause. After the meeting, Mr. Zhang, the CFO, came to me. Miss Lane, there's something I need to report. What is it? After Mr. Cole's assets were frozen, we did a deeper check and found he still had some hidden assets. What kind of assets? Overseas investments. About $5 million. I frowned. When were these transferred? According to the records, after he filed the lawsuit. So even after I had taken him to court, Jason was still moving assets in secret. Mr. Jeff Zhang organized the documents and handed them over to my lawyer. Good work, I said. It was clear now. While Jason was begging me for reconciliation, he had still been scheming behind my back. A man like that truly didn't deserve an ounce of sympathy. A month later, the company gradually returned to normal operations without Jason Cole. Efficiency actually improved. I rebuilt the management team and promoted several capable employees. The atmosphere in the company became much more harmonious. That afternoon, my assistant knocked and stepped in. Miss Lane, you have a visitor. What visitor? It's Mr. Cole's mother, Jason's mother. What was she here for? Let her in, I said. She walked into my office looking much older than before. Ever since Jason's case, she had been tirelessly running around trying to lessen his sentence. Riley, I'd like to talk to you, she said, sitting across from me, her eyes weary. Go ahead, Auntie, I replied. Jason did wrong, I admit that, but he has already been punished. Could you withdraw the pursuit of those overseas assets? So that was it, Auntie, that money belongs to the company. It was never Jason's personal property, I know, but that money is Jason's last lifeline. Tears filled her eyes. Riley, after all, you had 3 years together. Please take pity on me as his mother. Leave him away. Out looking at her frail face, a pang of pity stirred in me. But principle was principle. Auntie, I understand your love for your son, but this is something I cannot compromise on. Why not? She asked, her voice rising. Riley, you've already taken full control of the company, already left Jason with nothing. Must you really destroy him completely? Destroy him completely, I said calmly. Auntie, I never once thought of destroying him. I am simply reclaiming what belongs to me. But Auntie, if Jason had chosen to confess at the start, to be honest with me, things never would have come to this. It was his choices that led to today's result, not mine. She was silent for a while before pleading again. Riley, I beg you, for the sake of what was supposed to be your family bond as in-laws. I gave a bitter smile. Auntie, we will never be in-laws. Why not? She asked, her eyes filled with unwillingness. Riley, you could still start over with him. Jason truly knows he was wrong. Auntie, there are mistakes that cannot be forgiven, I said, looking at her steadily. If your son's affair had been with your own daughter, would you still say these words to me? She froze, stunned by my question. Riley, I stood. Auntie, I understand your instinct to protect your son, but please try to understand me too. I am not a saint. I have no obligation to forgive the person who hurt me, and I certainly won't give up my principles for the sake of so-called love. Her eyes showed both disappointment and anger. Riley, you've changed. Yes, I've changed, I nodded. I've learned how to protect myself, learned how to live for myself. That isn't becoming worse, it's growth. She stood. Riley, I hope you won't regret today's decision. I won't, I said with certainty. After sending her off, I sat in my office and looked out at the night view. The city lights still shone brightly. Life was moving forward. I thought back to 3 years ago when Jason and I started the company, full of ambition and dreams. Back then, we thought we could walk through life together. Now I finally understood some people are destined to be only passing figures in your life. They come, they teach you something, and then they leave, and you have to learn how to keep moving forward in your own. That night at home, I received a call from Tina. Riley, there's news from the court. Jason's overseas assets have been frozen. The restitution will be executed soon. All right, thank you, I said. You don't need to thank me. This is what you deserve. Tina paused for a moment before adding, by the way, there's something I should tell you. What is it? Jason has filed an appeal. That surprised me. An appeal? Yes, his lawyer claims the sentence was too heavy and is trying to get it reduced. Will that affect anything? Not much. The evidence is solid. The chances of the appeal succeeding are very slim. Don't worry, Tina reassured me. After hanging up, I thought back to Jason's mother's words. Clearly, they were still unwilling to give up, but it didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that I had already found myself again. 2 months later, Jason's appeal was dismissed. His sentence was upheld and all overseas assets were recovered. With that, the dispute finally came to a complete end. Under my management, the company's performance soared and employees were filled with confidence about the future. I, too, rediscovered the joy of my work. One morning, while I was in my office handling documents, my assistant Lee walked in. Mississippi Lane, there's a gentleman outside asking to see you. Who is he? He said his name is Ethan Jiang from an investment firm. The name sounded familiar. Let him in. A moment later, a man in his 30s entered, dressed in a well-tailored suit. He was handsome with a refined, scholarly air. Mississippi Lane, hello, I'm Ethan Jiang, he said, extending his hand. He shook it. Mr. Jiang, please have a seat. Thank you. He sat across from me. Came today to discuss a potential collaboration. What kind of project? Our firm is launching a new investment fund focused on tech innovation companies. Your company has strong expertise in this area and we'd like to work with you. I listened carefully. It was indeed an appealing opportunity. Mr. Zhang, your proposal is very attractive, but I'll need some time to think it over. Of course, a partnership like this requires careful consideration. He smiled. But I do hope we can talk further if you're free tonight. I'd like to take you to dinner so we can discuss in more detail. I hesitated, then nodded. All right. Tonight. That evening, we met at an upscale restaurant where Ethan had reserved a private room. The setting was elegant. Miss Lane, what kind of cuisine do you prefer? He asked politely. I'm not picky. Anything is fine. He ordered a few dishes, all of which happened to be my favorites. During dinner, we spoke at length about the industry. I found his insights sharp and his grasp of the market remarkably accurate. Miss Lane, I truly admire your capability, he said, raising his glass for a woman to manage a company so successfully. It's no small feat, thank you. I clinked my glass with his, and especially after everything you've been through, to still hold yourself together like this. It's even more impressive. I froze slightly. You know about my situation in the business world, little stays hidden, he said with a faint smile, but I believe you did the right thing, do you? Of course, when faced with betrayal, one must fight back firmly. Forgiveness is not always a virtue, sometimes it's just irresponsibility toward yourself. His words surprised me. Most people thought I had been too ruthless, too cold-hearted. Very few had supported my decisions. Mr. Jiang, your perspective is unusual. That's because I've been through something similar. His expression dimmed. My ex-wife cheated on me. At first I chose to forgive her, but she only grew worse until in the end we still divorced. From that moment on, I came to understand something. Ethan said, forgiving a betrayer is the same as betraying yourself. I looked at him, feeling a resonance in my heart. So when I heard about what you went through, I admired your courage. He continued, not everyone has the strength to fight for themselves. Dinner turned out to be very pleasant. We talked about so much, not only work, but also life, ideals, and past experiences. I discovered that Ethan Zhang was not only interesting but also a man of real depth. Mississippi Lane, I really enjoyed tonight, he said afterward, walking me to the parking lot. Hope we can have a good partnership. I hope so too, I said, offering my hand. Thank you for tonight, Mr. Jiang. It should be me thanking you. He shook my hand. Mississippi Lane, if you don't mind, we could be friends as well. Of course, I replied. Driving home, I thought about what he had said, that I had the courage to fight for myself. It was true. These past few months, I had been fighting for dignity, for principles, and for the future. The process had been painful, but the result was worth it. I had found myself again and a new direction in life. Most importantly, I had learned how to love myself before loving anyone else. You must first know how to love yourself. That was the most valuable lesson this experience had given me. 3 months later, my company Andathan's firm officially launched a partnership. The new investment fund was running successfully, and several of the projects we backed were already showing strong returns. Through our collaboration, Ethan and I became not just reliable business partners, but also good friends. He was dependable in work and thoughtful as a friend. One afternoon, while we were discussing a new project, he suddenly asked, Riley, have you ever thought about starting a new relationship? I paused. Why do you ask that? Because I think you've truly moved on, he said, looking at me seriously. You're in a really good place now. It's time to think about your own happiness, too. I'm doing fine as I am, I smiled. My work is fulfilling. My life is steady. What more could I need? But life can't be only about work, he said gently. You're still young. You have the right to pursue love. What about you? I countered. Shouldn't you start again too? I'm waiting for the right person. His gaze met mine. Or rather, I am waiting for one person to give me a chance. His words stirred something in me. Ethan Riley, he interrupted softly, I know it might not be the right time to say this, but I have to. These past months, I've grown more and more certain you're the one I've been waiting for. I looked at him, my heart conflicted. Ethan, you don't have to give me an answer now, he said with warmth. I just want you to know there's someone who quietly cares for you, who supports you. If one day you're willing to give me a chance, I'll treasure it. If you're not, we'll still be friends. Nothing will change. His sincerity moved me. Thank you, Ethan. Don't think. May meant every word. That night alone at home, I thought long and hard. Ethan was a good man, successful, principled, dependable. Most importantly, he understood me, supported me, and respected me. Compared to Jason Cole, they were worlds apart. Jason valued my money and ability, while Ethan valued me as a person. But was I really ready to start again? To say I wasn't nervous would be a lie. After betrayal, it's hard to fully trust again. Yet if I let the fear of being hurt close me off from every possibility, I would never find true happiness. A week later, I sent Ethan a message. If your invitation still stands, I'm willing to give it a try. He replied almost instantly, of course it stands. It always will. 6 months later, Ethan and I officially became a couple. He turned out to be a considerate boyfriend, never overly interfering in my work or my life, but he was always there when I needed him. We traveled together, worked together, planned our future together. The feeling was completely different from before. When I was with Jason, I was always the one giving, compromising, and enduring. Now with Ethan, what I felt was equality, respect, and mutual support. This was what real love was supposed to be. A year later, we got engaged. At our engagement banquet, I saw many old friends. They were all happy for me and agreed that Ethan was a wonderful choice. As we toasted, I couldn't help but think back to myself a year ago. Back then, I had just suffered the greatest betrayal of my life. I had hit rock bottom, emotionally convinced I would never believe in love again, but life proved me wrong. True love really does exist. Love isn't about control or dependence or exploitation. It's about understanding, respect, and support. Riley, what are you thinking about? Ethan asked softly, Wrapping his arm around my waist, I am thinking how lucky I am to have met you. I leaned against his shoulder. I feel lucky to have met you, too. He kissed my forehead. We're gonna be so happy. I believe that. Raising my glass, I turned to the guests. Thank you all for coming to our engagement banquet. I just want to say that in life you all encounter hardships, but as long as we stay true to ourselves and hold on to our principles, we will eventually meet the right person. I hope everyone here finds their true happiness. The room filled with warm applause. Ethan clasped my hand tightly, our fingers interlaced. The end.